Maya Collins stood in the center of the large room on Harmony Point Space Station. Her hands were steady as she held two wooden sticks connected by a short chain. These were her nunchucks. She had been practicing with them since she was 12 years old. The room was full of aliens. They were called the Veltari. They looked like giant lizards that walked on two legs. Their skin was green and covered in scales. They were much taller than humans. Most of them were 7 feet tall or more. Maya was here to show them how humans fight. It was part of a peace meeting between Earth and the Veltari Empire. The aliens had come to learn about human culture. The humans wanted to learn about alien culture too. But the Veltari were not impressed with what they saw. Commander Zarathek was the leader of the alien group. She was the biggest of all the Veltari in the room. Her scales were darker than the others. She wore shiny armor that covered her whole body. The armor looked very advanced. It had lights that blinked on and off. "What are those supposed to be?" Zarathek asked. Her voice was deep and rough. She pointed at Maya's nunchucks with one of her clawed fingers. "These are nunchucks," Maya said. She tried to keep her voice calm and friendly. "They are a traditional human weapon. My grandfather taught me how to use them." The Veltari made a sound that was like laughing, but it was different. It was more like hissing. The sound filled the room. Maya could feel her face getting hot with embarrassment. "Sticks tied together with rope?" another Veltari warrior said. "This is what humans call a weapon?" "We have conquered 17 star systems," Zarathek said. Her yellow eyes looked down at Maya. "We have plasma rifles that can cut through metal. We have energy shields that can stop missiles. And you want to show us sticks?" Luna Rodriguez stepped forward. She was Maya's friend and the human diplomat for this meeting. Luna had blonde hair and wore a blue uniform with Earth's flag on it. "Commander Zarathek," Luna said politely. "Every culture has different ways of fighting. We thought you might find it interesting to see how humans developed their combat skills." "Interesting?" Zarathek made that hissing laugh sound again. "Your species claims to be advanced enough to travel between stars, but you still use primitive weapons that our ancestors threw away thousands of years ago." Maya felt angry, but she did not show it. Her grandfather had taught her that a true warrior stays calm no matter what others say. She had learned this lesson well over many years of training. "Commander," Maya said, "would you like to see how these primitive weapons work?" The other aliens in the room became quiet. They looked at their commander to see what she would say. Zarathek looked at Maya for a long moment. Her yellow eyes seemed to glow in the light. "You want to demonstrate on me?" "If you are willing," Maya said. "It might help you understand why. Humans still use traditional weapons." "This should be amusing," Zarathek said. She looked at the other Veltari warriors. "What do you think? Should we let the humans show us her toy weapons?" The other aliens made more hissing sounds. They thought this was very funny. Dr. Sophie Kim was standing near the wall. She was a scientist who studied different alien species. She had brown hair and carried a small computer tablet. She was writing notes about everything that happened. Sophie looked worried. She knew that Veltari armor was very strong. She also knew that Maya was skilled with her weapons. But she wondered if this demonstration was a good idea. "Very well," Zarathek said. "I accept your demonstration, but I warn you, my armor can protect me from weapons much more dangerous than wooden sticks." Maya nodded. She began to move her nunchucks slowly. The sticks spun around her hands and wrists. The chain made a soft sound as it moved through the air. "These weapons were invented by farmers," Maya explained as she moved. "They were made from tools used to harvest rice. When soldiers tried to take away metal weapons, the farmers used what they had." "Farmer tools," one of the younger Veltari said with a snort. "Even more primitive than we thought," but Maya continued her explanation. "The nunchucks teach us about physics, about leverage and momentum, about using an opponent's strength against them." She made the nunchucks move faster. They created patterns in the air. The wooden sticks moved so quickly that they made a whistling sound. Zarathek watched with interest now, even though she tried not to show it. The humans' movements were smooth and controlled. There was something almost beautiful about the way the weapons moved. "In human culture," Maya said, "we believe that the best weapons are not always the most advanced ones. Sometimes the simplest. Tools work best because they are unexpected. Unexpected? Zarathek laughed again. Child, I have fought in wars across the galaxy. I have seen every type of weapon that exists. There is nothing about your wooden sticks that could surprise me. Maya stopped moving. She looked directly at the alien commander. Would you like me to prove that? The room became very quiet. Even the other humans looked nervous. Luna bit her lip and hoped this would not cause problems with the peace talks. Zarathek's eyes narrowed. She was a proud warrior who had never been defeated in combat. The idea that a small human with primitive weapons could challenge her was almost insulting. You wish to actually fight me? Zarathek asked. I wish to show you something that might change how you think about human weapons, Maya said. If you are brave enough to learn. Now it was Zarathek who felt angry. No one had ever questioned her bravery before. She was the strongest warrior in her unit. She had earned her rank through countless battles. I am not afraid of a human child with wooden toys, Zarathek said. Her voice was like a growl. If you want to demonstrate your primitive weapons, then do it. Try to land even one hit on me. My armor will protect me from anything you can do. Maya smiled for the first time since entering the room. Thank you. Commander, I promise this will be educational for both of us. The other Veltari moved back to give them more space. Luna looked very worried now. She hoped Maya knew what she was doing. Dr. Sophie Kim raised her tablet to record everything. As a scientist, she was curious to see what would happen when human martial arts met alien technology. Maya began to stretch her muscles and warm up her joints. She had trained for this moment her whole life, even though she had never imagined it would happen on a space station with aliens watching. Zarathek activated her armor's defensive systems. Lights began to blink faster on her chest and arms. The armor made a soft humming sound as it powered up. Are you ready, human? Zarathek asked. Maya spun her nunchucks once and held them at her sides. Ready when you are, Commander. Zarathek began to remove some pieces of her armor. She kept the most important parts that protected her chest, arms, and legs. The armor she wore was still much more advanced than anything humans had ever made. I will make this fair, Zarathek said, as she placed the extra armor pieces on a table. I do not want anyone to say I had an unfair advantage over a primitive human. Maya watched the alien commander prepare for their demonstration. The remaining armor still covered most of Zarathek's body. It was made of a metal that seemed to change colors in the light. Maya could see small lights blinking on the surface. That armor looks very impressive, Maya said. What does it do? Zarathek stood up straighter, proud to talk about her equipment. This armor can stop plasma blasts that would destroy a building. It can absorb energy from laser weapons. It can even protect me from explosions. The other Veltari warriors nodded, with approval. They were proud of their technology, too. The armor also tells me when enemies are near, Zarathek continued. It can predict where attacks will come from. It makes me faster and stronger than I already am. Dr. Sophie Kim looked at her tablet and made more notes. She was fascinated by the alien technology. She also noticed something interesting about how the armor worked. Maya began to move her nunchucks again. This time she started with very simple movements. She wanted everyone to see exactly what she was doing. The first thing my grandfather taught me was that nunchucks are not just weapons, Maya explained. They teach you about timing, about distance, about how force works. She held up one of the wooden sticks. This piece of wood by itself is not very dangerous, but when you connect two pieces with a chain, something interesting happens. Maya demonstrated by swinging one stick in a circle. The chain made the other stick move in a different pattern. The chain creates what we call a fulcrum. It lets me hit harder than I could with just my arm. Some of the younger Veltari warriors moved closer to watch. They had never seen anything like this before. Their weapons were all based on energy and advanced materials. Watch how the physics work, Maya said. She made the nunchucks move in a figure-8 pattern. Each stick builds up momentum. When they hit something, all that energy gets focused into a very small area. Zarathek was trying not to look interested, but Maya could see her yellow eyes following the movement of the weapons. In my culture, Maya continued, we believe that understanding your tools is more important than having the best tools. A master with simple weapons can defeat someone with advanced weapons if they understand physics better. Physics? One of the Veltari asked. You mean the laws that govern how matter and energy work? Exactly, Maya said. Your armor is designed to handle certain types of attacks, energy weapons, projectiles that move in straight lines, explosions that spread force over a wide area. Dr. Sophie Kim looked up from her tablet. She was beginning to understand what Maya was thinking. The alien armor had been designed to stop the kinds of weapons that advanced civilizations used, but it might not be ready for something completely different. Maya increased the speed of her movements. The nunchucks moved faster and created more complex patterns. The wooden sticks made whistling sounds as they cut through the air. But what if someone uses a weapon that does not follow those patterns? Maya asked. What if the attack comes from an angle your armor was not designed to handle? Zarathek activated more of her armor systems. The humming sound got louder. My armor can adapt to any attack, she said confidently. It learns from each threat and adjusts its defenses. That is very impressive, Maya said. But can it learn fast enough? Now Maya began to demonstrate more advanced techniques. She made the nunchucks move in ways that seemed impossible. One stick would go over her shoulder, while the other went under her arm. The chain twisted and turned, but never got tangled. The Veltari warriors had stopped making their hissing laugh sounds. They were watching Maya's movements very carefully. Now, even they could see that there was skill involved in what she was doing. My grandfather told me that the best warriors are like water, Maya said as she continued to move. Water can cut through the hardest stone, but it does it slowly and patiently. It finds the weak spots that others miss. Commander Kethira was Zarathek's second in command. She was smaller than Zarathek, but still very tall by human standards. She had been watching Maya with growing concern. Commander, Kethira said, quietly to Zarathek, perhaps we should study these weapons more before testing them against our armor. But Zarathek was too proud to back down now. She had accepted the challenge in front of all her warriors. If she refused to continue, they might think she was afraid of a human. I'm not worried about wooden sticks, Zarathek said loudly so everyone could hear. Let the human try her best. My armor will protect me. Maya nodded and prepared for the real demonstration. She had been warming up until now. She wanted to make sure her muscles were ready and that she understood how much space she had to work with. Commander Zarathek, Maya said formally, I want to thank you for this opportunity. In my culture, it is an honor to share knowledge with a worthy opponent. Just begin your attack, Zarathek said. She drew her own weapon, a long sword that glowed with blue energy. I will show you the difference between primitive tools and advanced technology. Luna Rodriguez moved to the edge of the room with the other humans. She was very nervous about what was going to happen. She hoped this demonstration would not ruin the peace talks between their species. Dr. Sophie Kim held her tablet ready to record everything. As a scientist, she wanted to document exactly how this encounter would unfold. She had a theory about what might happen, but she was not sure if she was right. Maya took a deep breath and centered herself. This was the moment she had trained for her entire life. Not just the physical training with weapons, but the mental training to stay calm under pressure. In human martial arts, Maya said as she began to move, we have a saying, the best victory is the one where no one gets hurt. Then, you will be disappointed, Zarathek replied, raising her energy sword, because your pride is about to be hurt very badly. Maya smiled and began to move in a circle around the alien commander. She was not attacking yet. She was studying her opponent and looking for the right moment to act. The nunchucks moved in, flowing patterns around her body. Sometimes they were in front of her, sometimes behind her, sometimes spinning over her head. The movements looked like a dance, but Maya knew they were much more than that. She was testing Zarathek's armor. She wanted to see how the defensive systems reacted to different types of movement. She noticed that the lights on the armor blinked faster when she moved quickly, and slower when she moved slowly. The armor is trying to predict what I will do, Maya thought to herself. It is looking for patterns that match weapons it has seen before. But Maya's movements did not match any patterns in the armor's database. The nunchucks were not energy weapons. They were not projectiles. They were not explosives. They were something completely different. Are you going to attack, or are you going to dance all day? Zarathek asked impatiently. Maya stopped moving and looked directly at the alien commander. I am ready now, she said. Thank you for your patience. Then Maya began the real demonstration. Maya moved like water flowing around a rock. She did not attack Zarathek directly. Instead, she moved in circles around the big alien warrior. Her nunchucks spun and twisted in patterns that seemed to have no beginning or end. Zarathek tried to follow Maya with her glowing sword, but every time she turned to face the human, Maya was already moving somewhere else. The alien commander was bigger and stronger, but Maya was much faster and more flexible. "Stand still and fight like a warrior," Zarathek shouted in frustration. But Maya did not stop moving. This was part of her strategy. She had learned from her grandfather that the best way to defeat a stronger opponent was to make them tired and confused. The armor on Zarathek's body was working very hard. The lights blinked faster and faster as the computer systems tried to track Maya's movements. The armor was designed to predict attacks from energy weapons and projectiles. But Maya's nunchucks moved in ways that the computer had never seen before. Dr. Sophie Kim watched her tablet screen with excitement. She could see that the alien armor was having trouble understanding what Maya was doing. The defensive systems kept changing their predictions about where the next attack would come from. "The armor is confused," Sophie whispered to Luna. "It cannot figure out what type of weapon it is facing." Luna nodded but kept her eyes on the demonstration. She was worried that someone might get hurt. She also worried that this might make the Veltari angry and ruin the peace talks. Maya continued to circle around Zarathek. Her nunchucks moved in flowing patterns that hypnotized everyone watching. Sometimes the wooden sticks moved so fast they became a blur. Sometimes they moved slowly and gracefully like a dance. Commander Kefira was watching very carefully. She had fought in many battles and had seen many different weapons. But she had never seen anything like what Maya was doing. "This human fights like the shadow cats from our home world," Kefira thought to herself. "They move in circles around their prey until the prey becomes dizzy and makes a mistake." The younger Veltari warriors had stopped laughing completely. They could see that Maya's movements required great skill and training. Even if they did not understand how the weapons worked, they could respect the artistry involved. Zarathek was getting more frustrated with each passing moment. She was used to enemies who attacked directly. She was used to battles where strength and advanced weapons decided the winner. This was something completely different. "Enough of this dancing," Zarathek roared. She swung her energy sword in a wide arc, trying to catch Maya as she moved. But Maya was not where Zarathek expected her to be. The human had dropped low and rolled under the sword swing. As she came up from the roll, her nunchucks were all ready. Moving in a new pattern, this time Maya moved closer to Zarathek. She was still not attacking directly, but she was testing the armor's defenses. She let one of her nunchucks touch the armor very lightly on Zarathek's arm. The armor immediately responded to the touch. Warning lights flashed, and the defensive systems activated, but nothing happened. The wooden stick had not hurt the armor at all. "You see," Zarathek said with triumph in her voice. "Your primitive weapons cannot even scratch my armor." But Maya was not trying to scratch the armor. She was studying it. That light touch had told her everything she needed to know about how the defensive systems worked. "The armor absorbs energy," Maya thought to herself. "It spreads impact force over a wide area. It is designed to handle big explosions and energy blasts. But what happens if I hit it with many small impacts in exactly the right place?" Maya began to change her strategy. Instead of moving in wide circles, she started moving closer to Zarathek. Her nunchucks moved faster now, creating more complex patterns. She began to tap the armor lightly in different places. Each tap was very gentle, like a woodpecker tapping on a tree. The armor's defensive systems activated each time, but there was no real damage to block. "What are you doing?" Zarathek asked. She was confused by Maya's new tactics. "I am listening," Maya replied as she continued to tap the armor with her nunchucks. "Every material has its own sound. Every structure has its own rhythm." The other Veltari looked at each other with confusion. They did not understand what Maya meant about listening to armor. But Dr. Sophie Kim understood. She had studied physics and materials science. She knew that every object had what scientists called a resonance frequency. If you could find that frequency and apply force at exactly the right rhythm, you could make even the strongest materials vibrate apart. "She is looking for the armor's weak frequency," Sophie whispered to herself. Her eyes were wide with amazement. Maya continued her light tapping. Tap, tap, tap on the shoulder, tap, tap, tap on the chest, tap, tap, tap on the arm. Each time, she listened, carefully to the sound the armor made. Zarathek tried to hit Maya with her energy sword, but the human was too quick. Maya ducked and weaved around the alien's attacks while continuing her gentle tapping. "Your armor is very well made," Maya said as she worked. "The metal is strong and the energy systems are advanced, but every creation has patterns built into it." Maya found what she was looking for. When she tapped on a specific joint in the armor near Zarathek's shoulder, the sound was slightly different. It was a higher pitch, which meant the metal was under more stress in that area. "Patterns can be used against their creators," Maya continued. She began to focus her tapping on that one joint. "In human martial arts, we call this finding the harmony in discord." Zarathek felt a strange vibration in her armor. It was very small at first, almost too small to notice, but it was growing stronger with each tap from Maya's nunchucks. "What is happening?" Zarathek asked. She looked down at her armor with concern. The lights on the armor were blinking in a pattern that none of the Veltari had seen before. The defensive systems were trying to compensate for something, but they did not know what. Maya smiled and stepped back. "Commander Zarathek, you have given me a great gift today. You have allowed me to show my people and your people something important." "What gift?" Zarathek demanded. "You have done nothing but tap on my armor like a child playing with toys." "I have shown everyone that knowledge is more powerful than technology," Maya said. "And now I will show you why humans still use primitive weapons in an age of starships." Maya raised her nunchucks above her head. But instead of the flowing, gentle movements she had been using, her posture changed. Now she looked like a warrior ready for battle. "What I have been doing until now was preparation," Maya explained. "I was studying your armor and finding its natural frequency. Now I am going to demonstrate why that matters." Zarathek tried to activate more of her armor's defensive systems, but the strange vibration was growing stronger. The armor's computer was sending warning signals that it did not understand. Commander Keth-Ira stepped forward with concern. "Commander, perhaps you should stop this demonstration. Something is wrong with your armor." But Zarathek was too proud to quit. "My armor is the finest in the galaxy," she said firmly. "Whatever this human is doing, it cannot possibly threaten Veltari technology." Maya nodded with respect. "You are brave, Commander. That is why this will be a good lesson for both our peoples." Then Maya began her final technique. Her nunchucks moved in a way that was completely different from everything she had done before. Instead of flowing like water, they moved like lightning, fast, precise, and focused on exactly one spot. The wooden stick struck the joint in Zarathek's armor exactly 17 times in the space of 3 seconds. Each strike hit the exact same spot with perfect timing. The vibration in the armor suddenly became much stronger. The armor began to shake. At first, it was just a small trembling that only Zarathek could feel. But within seconds, the shaking became violent. The lights on the armor flashed red as warning signals filled the air with beeping sounds. "What is happening to my armor?" Zarathek shouted over the noise. Maya stepped back and lowered her nunchucks. "I found the frequency that your armor cannot handle," she explained calmly. "Every material has a point where it cannot absorb vibrations anymore." The shaking grew worse. Pieces of the armor began to rattle against each other. The energy systems that powered the defensive capabilities started to overload from the stress. Dr. Sophie Kim watched her tablet with amazement. The readings showed that Maya's precise strikes had created a resonance wave that was spreading through the entire armor system. The advanced metal could handle explosions and energy blasts, but it could not handle this specific type of rhythmic impact. "Impossible!" Commander Keth-Ira gasped. "Our armor has protected our warriors for hundreds of years." "Your armor is excellent," Maya said with respect. "But it was designed to stop the weapons your enemies use. It was not designed to stop something like this." The vibrations reached a critical point. Suddenly, there was a loud crack sound as the joint near Zarathek's shoulder failed. The armor's computer systems detected what they thought was catastrophic. Damage emergency protocols activated immediately. The armor was programmed to protect its wearer above all else. If the system detected that the armor itself was becoming dangerous to the person wearing it, it would automatically remove itself. Emergency armor release initiated, a mechanical voice announced from speakers in the armor. Critical system. Failure detected. Removing armor to protect wearer. No! Zarathek shouted. Cancel emergency release. I command you to cancel. But the armor did not listen to her commands. Safety protocols could not be overridden once they started. The computer had decided that keeping the armor on was more dangerous than taking it off. Piece by piece, the armor began to detach itself from Zarathek's body. The chest plate fell to the floor with a loud clang. The arm guards followed, then the leg pieces. Within moments, the proud alien commander was standing in the middle of the room, wearing only her simple undergarments. The silence that followed was complete. No one moved, no one spoke. Even the air recycling systems on the space station seemed to have stopped making noise. Zarathek stood frozen in shock. In all her years as a warrior, in all her battles across the galaxy, she had never been defeated, without being wounded. She had never been made to look foolish in front of her own troops. The other Veltari warriors stared at their commander with wide eyes. They could not believe what they had just seen. Their most advanced technology had been defeated by wooden sticks and rope. Maya looked at the scattered pieces of armor on the floor. Then she looked at Zarathek, who was trying to cover herself with her hands. Maya could see the shame and embarrassment in the alien's yellow eyes. Without hesitation, Maya took off her own jacket and walked over to Zarathek. Here, she said gently, offering the jacket to the alien commander. Please, take this. Zarathek looked at Maya with surprise. She had expected the human to celebrate her victory. She had expected mockery and laughter. Instead, Maya was showing kindness. Why? Zarathek asked as she accepted the jacket. Why are you helping me? You have defeated me. You have proven that your weapons are superior. Maya shook her head. I have not defeated you, Commander, and my weapons are not superior to yours. I have only shown that different weapons work in different ways. Luna Rodriguez finally found her voice. Maya, that was incredible. How did you know that would work? My grandfather taught me about resonance, Maya explained. He learned it from studying how earthquakes can destroy buildings. Even the strongest building will fall if you shake it at exactly the right frequency. Dr. Sophie. Kim rushed forward with her scanner and tablet. This is fascinating, she said excitedly. Maya, you found the resonant frequency of the armor's molecular structure. The repeated impacts at that specific rhythm caused a cascade failure in the material bonds. She turned to the Veltari engineers who had been watching from the side of the room. Do you see what happened? The armor was designed to absorb large amounts of energy spread over wide areas. But it could not handle small amounts of energy focused on a single point at the precise frequency that disrupted the molecular cohesion. Commander Keth Ira walked over to examine the fallen armor pieces. I do not understand, she said. How could wooden sticks do this to our strongest armor? Because the armor was not designed to handle this type of attack, Maya explained patiently. Your people have fought enemies who use energy weapons and explosives. You made your armor perfect for stopping those weapons. But you never fought enemies who understood resonance physics. Maya picked up her nunchucks and held them so everyone could see. These weapons are not powerful because they are made of special materials. They are powerful because of how they are used. The chain between the sticks lets me control exactly how much force hits exactly where I want it to hit, she demonstrated by gently swinging the nunchucks. Watch how the chain works. It lets me multiply the force of my arm movement. It also lets me change the direction of that force very quickly. Most importantly, it lets me hit the same spot over and over again with perfect timing. The younger Veltari warriors moved closer to see the demonstration. They were beginning to understand that there was real science behind what Maya had done. This is why humans still study traditional weapons, Maya continued. Not because we cannot build better ones, but because these weapons teach us about physics and strategy. They teach us to look for solutions that our enemies do not expect. Zarathek had been listening carefully while she put on Maya's jacket. The jacket was too small for her large frame, but it covered enough to restore some of her dignity. You are saying that knowledge of how things work is more important than having the best equipment? Zarathek asked. I am saying that understanding your tools is just as important as having good tools, Maya replied. Your armor is amazing technology, But if you do not understand its weaknesses, then your enemies can use those weaknesses against you. Luna Rodriguez saw an opportunity to help the peace talks. "This is exactly why our people should work together," she said. "We both have knowledge that could help the other. Humans understand traditional physics and unconventional strategies. The Veltari understand advanced materials and energy systems." Dr. Sophie Kim nodded enthusiastically. "Imagine what we could create if we combined human martial arts knowledge with Veltari engineering. We could design armor that protects against both traditional attacks and energy weapons." For the first time since her armor had fallen off, Zarathek smiled. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. "You have taught me something important today, Maya Collins," Zarathek said formally. "You have shown me that my people have become too confident in our technology. We forgot that there are always new ways to solve old problems." Maya bowed respectfully. "You have taught me something too, Commander. You have shown me that true warriors are brave enough to learn from defeat." 3 weeks had passed since the demonstration that changed everything. The space station Harmony Point had become a very different place. Instead of tense meetings between suspicious species, it was now filled with the sounds of learning and cooperation. Maya stood in the same room where she had faced Zarathek, but now the room looked completely different. Half of it was set up like a human martial arts training area, with mats on the floor and traditional weapons hanging on the walls. The other half looked like a Veltari engineering laboratory, with computers and advanced materials testing equipment. "Again," Zarathek said from across the room, "show me the wrist movement again." The alien commander was holding her own set of nunchucks. They were made from Veltari smart metal that could change weight and density. Maya had helped design them over the past few weeks. Maya demonstrated the technique slowly. "Remember, it is not about strength. It is about timing and rhythm. Let the chain do the work for you." Zarathek tried to copy the movement. Her first few attempts were clumsy because her hands were much larger than human hands. But she was learning quickly. Maya had discovered that the Veltari were very good students once they put aside their pride. "Better," Maya said encouragingly. "Now try to feel the resonance. Every material has its own song. You need to learn to hear it." On the other side of the room, Dr. Sophie Kim was working with a group of Veltari engineers. They were testing new armor designs that could handle both energy weapons and resonance attacks. "The key is to break up the regular patterns in the metal," Sophie explained as she showed them her computer model. "If we make the molecular structure irregular, it becomes much harder for resonance waves to build up." Commander Kathira was part of the engineering team. She had become very interested in human physics after seeing what Maya could do. "This is fascinating," she said. "We always tried to make our materials as uniform as possible. But you are saying that irregularity can sometimes be stronger?" "Exactly," Sophie replied. "In nature, the strongest materials often have random patterns. Tree bark, seashells, even human bones are stronger because they are not perfectly uniform." Luna Rodriguez walked into the room carrying a tablet with good news. The peace talks between Earth and the Veltari Empire were going much better than anyone had hoped. Both sides were eager to share knowledge and learn from each other. The Earth Council just approved the cultural exchange program, Luna announced. "We can have up to 50 humans working with Veltari scientists, and 50 Veltari can come to Earth to study our martial arts and traditional crafts." Maya smiled as she heard the news. "My grandfather would be so proud," she thought to herself. "His teachings about wooden sticks and rope are going to help bring peace between the stars." Zarathek had been listening while she practiced. She set down her nunchucks and walked over to Maya. "I have a question for you," she said. "Why did you really challenge me that day? You could have just demonstrated your weapons without fighting me." Maya thought carefully before answering. "Because demonstrations only show technique, but real understanding comes from testing that technique against a worthy opponent. I needed to show everyone, including myself, that traditional knowledge could still be useful in a modern world. And you chose me because I was the most skeptical," Zarathek said with a laugh that no longer sounded like hissing. Over the past weeks, she had learned to laugh more like humans did. "I chose you because you were the strongest," Maya corrected. "If I could make my point with the strongest warrior, then everyone would believe it." One of the younger Veltari warriors raised her hand. "Maya, can you teach us more about human philosophy? We understand the physics now, but we want to learn about the thinking behind your martial arts. Maya nodded and gestured for everyone to sit in a circle on the training mats. This had become a daily tradition. After the physical training, they would have discussions about the ideas and beliefs that guided different fighting styles. My grandfather always said that the best warriors are like rivers, Maya began. They are strong, but they are also flexible. They can carve through mountains, but they do it by finding the path of least resistance. What does that mean in practical terms? Commander Kethira asked. It means that you should not always try to overpower your problems, Maya explained. Sometimes the best solution is to go around them or under them, or to wait for them to solve themselves. Dr. Sophie Kim looked up from her computer. That is actually very similar to how we design engineering solutions on Earth. We call it elegant simplicity. The best designs are often the ones that solve complex problems with simple methods. Zarathek leaned forward with interest. Give us an example. Sophie thought for a moment. Well, Maya's victory over your armor is a perfect example. Instead of trying to build a weapon powerful enough to break through your defenses, she found a simple way to make your defenses turn themselves off. That is very clever, one of the Veltari engineers said admiringly. We always try to build bigger and stronger weapons when we face strong defenses. But this human found a way to make strength into weakness. Maya stood up and picked up her original nunchucks, the wooden ones her grandfather had given her. These weapons have taught me something important about life. Sometimes the old ways are not primitive. Sometimes they are just waiting for the right moment to show their wisdom. She looked around the room at all the humans and Veltari working together. My grandfather could never have imagined that his lessons about wooden sticks would one day help bring peace between species from different stars. But the principles he taught me, patience, understanding, and respect for all knowledge, those principles work anywhere in the universe. Luna Rodriguez made a note on her tablet. Maya, would you be willing to write a book about your grandfather's teachings? I think many people across the galaxy would want to read it. Only if Commander Zarathek helps me write it, Maya replied. This story belongs to both our species now. Zarathek stood up and placed her hand on Maya's shoulder. It was a gesture of friendship that would have been impossible just a few weeks earlier. I would be honored to help tell this story, Zarathek said. But I want to add my own lesson to it. I want to tell people about the danger of becoming too proud of your technology. My people conquered 17 star systems, but we almost missed the chance to learn something valuable because we thought we already knew everything. Dr. Sophie Kim saved her work and closed her computer. I think we should call the book Wooden Sticks and Starships, How Ancient Wisdom Shapes the Future. Maya laughed. That is a good title, but I have a better one. She held up her nunchucks so everyone could see them. Let's call it The Alien Scoffed at Human Nunchucks Until Her armor hit the floor. Everyone in the room burst into laughter, including Zarathek. The sound of humans and Veltari laughing together echoed through the corridors of Harmony Point Station. 6 months later, the book became the most popular publication in both human and Veltari space. It was translated into 17 different alien languages. More importantly, it inspired a new way of thinking about cooperation between species. The Veltari began sending their young warriors to Earth to study human martial arts and philosophy. Humans traveled to Veltari worlds to learn about advanced engineering and energy physics. Together they created new technologies that neither species could have developed alone. Maya continued to teach on Harmony Point, but now her classes included students from many different worlds. She never tired of seeing the look of amazement on alien faces when they first understood how simple physics could overcome complex technology. And sometimes, late at night when the station was quiet, Maya would practice alone with her grandfather's nunchucks. She would think about how 2 pieces of wood connected by a chain had somehow connected 2 civilizations. Thank you, grandfather, she would whisper to the stars. Your lessons about humility and respect have traveled farther than you ever dreamed. The nunchucks spun silently through the air, creating patterns that spoke of ancient wisdom and future possibilities. In the vast darkness of space, they had become a symbol of hope, proof that understanding and cooperation could bridge any gap, no matter how wide or how strange. The alien had indeed scoffed at human nunchucks, but in the end, it was laughter and friendship that hit the floor, replacing the armor of pride and prejudice that had kept two great peoples apart. And throughout the galaxy, other species heard this story and began to wonder what they might learn from each other. If only they were brave enough to set aside their assumptions and listen to the wisdom of wooden sticks and open hearts.